Mr Speaker, just listening to that last member's contribution, and look, she is a very fine, well-meaning member, it just really emphasises for me the real gulf between Labor and the national-led government on issues relating to the economy and the future direction of New Zealand. And I don't know what sort of unpatriotic groupthink is pervading the Labor Party research unit, but just because you keep on telling New Zealanders that the budget is unfair, and just because you keep on repeating that over and over, it just doesn't make it so. Because in this budget, we've seen the Prime Minister and the Minister of Finance lay out a very clear vision and direction for New Zealand, and it's about growing the economy. It's about addressing wasteful public expenditure. It's about growing opportunities for the Pacific Island people of the Mana electorate. It's about growing opportunities for growing employment, for growing jobs. We've seen a clearly articulated pattern there, a clear plan. We know how that plan is going to bring down levels of debt. It's going to grow the economy over time. It's going to stimulate the economy because more New Zealanders are going to have more money available in their pockets to put back into the economy, to grow that economy. And quite frankly, Mr Speaker, this budget has gone down excellently out in the electorate. And so no matter how often they say it's unfair, how much they bully elderly people into thinking that they're going to be worse off, it doesn't make it so. And you can see the raw nerve that has struck. See, it's happened. You know, as soon as you actually push the button there, you can get that reaction. And the fact is, if you look at it, the vast majority of New Zealanders are going to be better off. To say that people on average and middle incomes aren't going to benefit is frankly not the case at all. 73% of New Zealanders are going to be paying no more than 17.5% as their marginal tax rate. Two-thirds of the cost of tax cuts is actually going to go to people earning $48,000 or less. So really, when you listen to their arguments over there, and it was really summed up pretty well in Vernon Small's column, I think it was on Monday, there is no logic to the Labor Party's argument. Because when you look at their argument, it's all predicated around next year's 5.9% rise in inflation, which drops off soon after. They're trying to tell you that the benefits of those tax cuts will be eroded. They won't. They are using false premises to try and scare the people of New Zealand into turning away from this plan. But look, the real problem is there's absolutely no plan coming from that side of the House. Now, the member for Mana said before that Phil Goff, opposed the rise in GST. Well, actually, I don't know if that's the case, because when he's asked a direct... Oh, it is. Okay, this member says that Phil Goff does oppose it. But is that member there going to support the repeal of GST? And quite honestly, if you gave that member a truth serum drug, she would tell you, well, she doesn't know. And that's the essential problem Labor has. There is no plan that the Labor Party has for how they're going to progress the economy. They're burnt out. They've had 9 years, frankly. They were completely out of ideas. And quite frankly, I think the dirty secret of the Labor Party is they actually quite like it over there in opposition because they're out of ideas. They don't know how they're going to go forward. There's major questions over their leadership. Phil Goff's got a real problem. He's out there. He is trying to connect with the electorate. And he's going around in the Axe the Tax bus trying to connect with ordinary working people. Well, he's got bigger problems than that, because much, much closer to home, even within the Beltway, he has got issues of recognition. The leader of the opposition was down there in Copperfields yesterday. He took his sandwich up to the counter there and he said to the young man, who presumably is one of his core constituents, he said, "I'll have that on my account, please." And the young man said, "Which account would that be, sir?" And he said, "Goff. G-O-F-F. So the real point is, if Phil Goff can't increase his influence, his levels of recognition, the 100 yards from here down to Copperfields, how on earth is he going to make any impact in Northcote, in Hawke's Bay, How on earth is he really going to connect with those people of Mana who Winnie Laban tells us are so unhappy, but quite frankly, I don't know if they really are so unhappy with the budget. I think actually they think John Key is doing a fantastic job as Prime Minister, and the vast majority of working people in New Zealand are just so grateful that Helen Clark has taken off to the United Nations and that you don't have to see her on the television each night lecturing you on how to live your life. And one of the other great fallacies these people have come up with is about health care. Now, it's very interesting. Old Winnie Laban there, member for Mana, she was saying there had been cuts to home health. Well, what happened when Pete Hodgson was the minister? And he wrote to the people of Wanganui and said actually he was not going to be cutting their home care funding. No, he would be reprioritising that funding. So when national governments increase the funding to health and make some reprioritisations within that, well, according to these guys, it's a cut. When they want to do exactly the same thing, oh, it's some sort of reprioritisation. The actual fact of it, there is more money now being spent in health than ever before. $512 million over 4 years. More elected. Well, your electorate, sir, the electorate of Palmerston North, I tell you what, that man, if he's lucky, may be on the list for Labor next time, because there's a real chance he won't be back as the member for Palmerston North. And there haven't been cuts in Palmerston North. They haven't. See, this is another thing. They've got this mantra. They think if they bully and scare elderly people that their home help, that their health services are going to be cut, it's miraculously going to come true. Well, I can tell them that we were left with one massive problem in health by that last government on the way out. Massive deficits across the DHBs. We have had to come in, look at it sensibly, put the focus on moving the services to the front line and actually getting more for the money that's spent. And last year, a record increase in elective surgery. Of course, when they were in charge of it, they were actually culling decent, hard-working New Zealanders off surgery lists. So you can see there's been a heck of a lot of work that we've had to do. But getting back to this GST argument, which, we really don't know if they're going to reverse GST or not. Well, this is policy. And Grant Robertson, he won't be able to get up and say, yes, we will reverse GST. And I think he's up soon. And I challenge him to actually tell us what Labor are going to do should they ever get back into government. Because he's the young, up-and-coming high flyer. I think he could well be, negotiating in the back room. Grant Robertson, he's the pin-up boy of the left. I could see him there maybe with Jacinda Ardern, plotting a bit of a move there. I don't know how electable they'll truly be, but I think we really need to know what these people think, because people know what the New Zealand government thinks, what our plan is for the economy. John Key is quite clear about where he wants to take this country, but that group over there don't have any concept at all about what they're going to do. And I can tell you, it's very, very popular, this tax on consumption, the raise in GST, and the reason it's popular is because everyone pays it and everyone is being compensated. So everyone is being compensated for that rise in GST. Well, actually, they're no worse off. People on less than the average wage are no worse off, but more importantly, they're not voting for Labor. No, they're not, actually. Look, we can't have this bunch of ex-civil servants, political career lackeys doing voodoo hot-pot economics to try and actually make this look wrong. Because, frankly, it works very, very well. No, Treasury were fully supportive. But I think these people over here need to really metaphorically take the truth serum, stop the personal attacks, and actually get up and tell us what their plans for the New Zealand economy are. And look, the truth, Mr. Speaker, is Labor doesn't have a plan for the New Zealand economy. Their plan is to borrow more and more money. Bill English has done a great job of bringing debt down as a proportion of GDP. We're looking to be in surplus in 3 or 4 years. The forecasts are improving all the time. We're going to be at about 26% debt to GDP ratio. You take these guys, we'll be there with the UK at 80% debt to GDP ratio. And I tell you what, if you really let Grant Robertson run loose as the finance minister, we may even be in a Greek situation, 125% debt to GDP. So, I tell you, what we really need to be making the New Zealand public aware is what could happen if the public ever let these people back onto the Treasury benches. That would be very, very bad for New Zealand.